From Software has a pedigree when it comes to the industry. They are considered one of the greatest developers of all time, with good cause. I mean, when they dropped Demon's Souls back in the day and the PlayStation execs said this is too hard and they refused to get good, only to not make another Demon's Souls sequel and told From Software to pound sand up their little wee-wees, they then went and make the Dark Souls series, a spiritual successor to the Demon's Souls game. And then that game grew a following, a cult fan base, which led them to spin off of that success and make Dark Souls 2. And even though Dark Souls 2 did not hold the same love that Dark Souls 1 had, they had enough momentum to create a third game, and this third game is argued to then be maybe the best in the series. PlayStation then, realizing that they had made a monumental error when it came to putting the old hand in the face of From Software in the beginning, decided to give them another chance, and they released Bloodborne, the magnum opus of gothic horror games. Not wanting to be beholden to anyone else, they decided to go in an absolutely different direction and explore the mythology of Japan in the game Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. A game that truly showed that From Software knew how to diversify their catalog. A game that truly made you focus on mastering the art of the sword with parrying and great swordplay, much different than the games that had previously come. But From Software looked at another genre, another little world, and they said, what can we do with that? And that was the open world genre. And that's when they created the greatest open world game, in my opinion, to have ever touched God's green earth, and that is Elden Ring. The game that introduced me to this entire world of games that I never had touched in the past due to me thinking they were too challenging and I would never be able to overcome that challenge. But Elden Ring taught me that I could, and my eyes were open. But the question you might have now is, what are we doing here today? We are going to be talking about a game that not even the quintessential Iron Pineapple has talked about. And that, my friends, is From Software Does America. Hell yeah, freedom, baby! We're going to talk about some freedom, baby! With Metal Wolf Chaos XD Edition. At the time, From Software was not known for its Souls-style games quite yet. You see, they were a studio, a very small one, that had created a very niche Kingsfield games, and then gone on to create the Armored Core series. If you don't know what the Armored Core series is, it's a mech-based, third-person action game that was kind of big, but kind of not big, and it kind of bounced around through the lineage of From Software. A matter of fact, with a game coming out in 2023 that took critics by storm and considered widely to be the best From Software Armored Core game yet. Now, with these games kind of having a little bit of momentum, and Xbox being a brand new console on the market that Microsoft was trying to get a foothold in the industry with Sega recently dying, they kind of went to From Software and was like, listen here, jabronis, why don't you make a game for us? Something that'll get the Japanese audiences to be like, hey, Kimosabi, we like what you're doing. Keep your penis game strong. So the director of this game at the time had worked on some of the Kingsfield games and really hadn't worked on the Armored Core series, surprisingly enough. He went to work. The funny thing about this guy is he would later be the art director for Dark Souls 2, which is insane, to go from making the America mech game to Dark Souls 2. Another incredibly humorous part of this is this game originally never released in America. An Xbox exclusive, a company, Microsoft owning Xbox, an American company, never released this in the US. And this game is about being the president of the United States, bringing freedom back to America. Like, what? What? It only then got released in America years and years later through Devolver Digital re-releasing this with the XD edition. It's so insane to me that From Software looked at Microsoft and was like, we're making a game for American company? We're gonna make this game American as fuck. We're gonna have this shit screaming freedom, only for American audiences to never play it. So I can just see it now. There's just a bunch of Japanese people that were like, what is this Metal Wolf Chaos game? And that's not a Japanese accent. That was just something weird I said. But they're like, what is this Japanese American game? We gotta see what this is. And they put it in and they're like, this is what America is. It's the freedom. It's put your dick in it and you fuck it and then it's the freedom. the freedom, baby. And I have this idea that over there they were like, what the fuck am I even playing? What is going on? This feels like a game made for Americans, but it never saw America. What a goofy shit is that? I don't understand the thought process behind this, and how Xbox had this exclusive, and just, I mean, they had a mech series over here in the States. There was an Xbox exclusive. It was the Mecha Assault series, which seemed to get a decent amount of sales going for it, which, please, Xbox, please bring back the Mecha Assault games for modern audiences, or you don't have to remake it or anything. Just fucking make it ported. Port that son of a bitch! I swear I will juice my taint for you in such a beautiful way. I just want to play those games again. They were fantastic. But it's crazy to me that they made the Mecha Assault games. We're doing decent in the States. And then they were like, let's get this team that makes the Armored Core games to make us a cool mech game, and then never release it in the US. That is just goofy beyond Goofy's belief. I don't understand it. I don't understand the decisions behind that. Maybe you can let me know in the comments. Maybe there's some lore I'm missing. But I just think that it's so goofy that this game never touched the shores of the US until like 2019 or some shit. But let's talk about the game. One of my favorite features right off the bat, and the way this game starts, is you get a DNN report, which is like CNN, but I think it's even funny because it's like Democratic News Network. I don't know if that's actually what it stands for, but that kind of, it gives me the vibe, which is perfect for CNN. I'm not even like that political, but I know that CNN has a bias toward the left. But I love that it starts with this, and they're like running propaganda that the president is this monster, because what has happened is the vice president has taken the military and decided, we're holding a coup, and fuck you, dude, no more freedom in the United States, we're going under martial law. And this news network's like, the president's the evil guy, the president touches people's penises without consent, and the president's like, I've never done that, and it's like, I don't care, cause he touches the weird places on people's bodies. And it's like this goofy propaganda shit. And throughout the game you'll get these great moments with the DNN News Network, where they'll just kind of pop up and just tell you how the president kicks puppies, and how he like eats children, and how horrible he is. It's just over the top. It's amazing. It's like this propaganda machine, and it kind of breaks up the normal story. Now, I could see how you could see these like news statements as a satirical thing, because that's what they are, but the rest of the game kind of takes itself semi-seriously. It's jokingly about it, because it's over the top. It's like a bad B movie, I would say, or like I don't know, it's like Japanese people do a B American action movie is my best way to describe the story of this game. And to break it down, it's really, like I said, the president versus the vice president. The whole US has been taken over, and you go through a tour through the United States through the eyes of the president. And what's great about this game too is the voice acting is terrible. It's so bad. The guy they got to play the president. Now, if I were to make this game, I would have made the president like a real burly guy. And this whole game takes place in like today's time period, but they made it back in like the 2000s. So it's kind of funny to me that this would be like Joe Biden, and Joe Biden can't even like clean his own ass after he takes a shit. So I can't see him getting into a mech suit, and I couldn't see Trump doing this for that matter. I mean, both of them are so fucking old that the mech suit would probably snap him in half. So it's kind of funny to put it in like today's perspective, because that's when it takes place. But the whole game is this tour with this president who I would think would have like a burly voice, but he talks like me, and I have a nasally annoying ass voice. And I appreciate all of you for watching my videos. Matter of fact, hit me with a like, hit me with a dislike, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. But it's this guy, he's like, I'm gonna stop the vice president, my lad. And you're like, bro, I don't think you're stopping shit coming out of your ass in the middle of a line. I think you're gonna put yourself right in the middle of like your Piggly Wiggly line, and everybody's gonna stare at you like you're a creep. That's the kind of voice you have. I have not done that. I know I just compared the voice to myself, but I've never shit myself in public, so that's good. I got that going for me. But you would think that the president of the United States driving a mech suit fighting the vice president would have a cool-ass voice. That's just something I want. I mean, I would have been so happy if it was even something as cheesy as Duke Nukem or some shit. He just comes in, he's like, I'm gonna bust your ass, boy. Oh, this is WWE SmackDown on that clitoris. You wanna come after me when you've never even gotten fellatio, boy? I'm gonna beat your cheeks in. I don't know, something like that. Something to get a little bit of blood pumping to the old penis whenever he talks. Would have been cool, you know? Just, that would have been a better vibe. But instead, he's just like, you can't do this to my country. And I just can't do it. He sounds like a shittier Bill Clinton. I don't know. It's just goofy. Actually, Bill Clinton would have been a better fucking direction for the voice, because at least he knows how to kill people.
Murderers. Yeah.
Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Yeah, you know, we're not allowed to, you're not allowed to put out.
Allegedly, that is. It's alleged. But, yeah, no, Clinton's voice would have been pretty good, I guess, compared to what we got. I just really didn't like the president's voice. I found it to be bitchy and annoying and not cool at all. And it just kind of is juxtaposed to what this game is going for, because this game has a vibe where it's like, I'm gonna eat shit out of your ass and you're gonna like it, you know? And I want that to be the voice behind the president, and the facial animations are another thing in this game that are just, by God, the worst thing I've ever seen. It's like the faces are just kind of put there, and then they put a mouth moving. It's just so stupid. It's straight up tism to the highest degree. I don't know what the planning was here. They're like, we'll just stick a picture in there and then make their mouths move. Hell yeah, bro! This is perfect! But getting all the gripes out of the way, I still think this is a fantastically fun experience. Now, the whole premise of the game, like I said earlier, is you're going through a tour through the U.S. You start at the White House, then you go across country to California, mess up some Chinatown, then you go to the Grand Canyon, which you're seeing here on screen, and you just kind of bounce around. And after every mission, you then collect scientists through saving them from little crates where they're held hostage, and you can pay them to do some research, create more weapons, then you buy those weapons, then you add them to your silly little mech so that he can have a bigger ding-a-ling, and then you go slap some clit. That is the constant cycle, and throughout this, you're going to run into little boss fights, of course, because it's a video game, and some of them are better than others. Like, one of the ones that I really wasn't that big of a fan of was this helicopter fight right here. I was like, oh, this is going to be so sick. It's a boss fight. I like me boss fights. I have gamer brain. Only to then pound this poor dude's cheeks in with my super move, because that is something I haven't covered yet. When you get enough, like, charge up, you get to use the super move, which pulls out all your guns. Well, early on in the game, I used this, and you could just pretty much abolish any single enemy that comes your way, one-shotting them with this super power play, which pulls out all your guns and shows them the big shaft. But later in the game, this does get quite a bit difficult, because you go into a level, and then you get just absolutely ham-blasted in your sandwich area, and you can't handle it anymore. So the game then wants you to go back to previous levels, complete them again with your overpowered arsenal, and it gets a little tedious, especially with the fact that you could get to the end of a mission and then have to start the whole fucking son of a bitch over. That is one of the most irritating things ever, because this game has 0 checkpoints throughout its entire mission. You start the mission, you end the mission. The only time that you feel like it has a checkpoint is when the mission's really short. And you're like, wow, that's convenient because the mission's shorter. Cool, I fucking guess. Who cares? But putting Occam's razor on a bitch, I then kind of realized that this is the From Software loop. You make the little boss run that always feels way longer than it should be. You get to the boss, you die because of the boss, you start the run again, only to die earlier on the run, then you start that old cocksucker back up and give it a gold run again, and eventually you do beat the boss. And so I can see these early designs to what would later be the master class that is the Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring saga, you know what I mean? You can get those vibes from this early game, and I do appreciate that, and I really do like a lot of the cool weapons. One weapon that I kind of stuck with a lot was the ray gun. I mean, that thing just, or the rail gun, that gun just rails. I mean, that's why it's called the rail gun. I'm so silly stupid. This game truly hits its stride when you start fighting other other mechs though, because when you're actually handblasting these mechs clits, you feel like a goddamn chief. It feels like you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, because I have to say, a lot of the, not level design, but a lot of the level mechanics in this game get incredibly repetitive. Go to area, destroy thing, go to next area, destroy thing, and it's moved forward with the fact that the level design is actually pretty good in this game, but the fact that you're doing the same thing from start to finish in this game with no real variations, the only time it varies a little bit is they'll sometimes put like landmines and stuff in your way, and you're like, ah, real inventive, you stupid son of a bitch. But it's like, when you're fighting mechs, this game is like S tier fucking fun, dude. You're bouncing around the map, you're fucking using your boost side to side, you're traversing rooftops. It's fucking based, it's red-pilled. So much skibbity toilet on my fucking mouth chin that I'm having a great time, only to go back to destroying towers like this. It kind of is, it fights itself on its own pacing, and that kind of sucks, because I would have liked to have, like, this level right here where I'm fighting 3 different mechs. I would have liked to be able to just focus on them instead of having to go kill towers, so that eventually I could then, it like made it easier for me to kill the mechs, I guess. I don't know. I tried it both ways, where I just fought the mechs, and it seemed like actually destroying the towers first was the way I was supposed to do it. I don't know. It felt like it was fighting itself on pacing, and I really hated that, because this game does have a pacing problem at the end of the day. It's a huge issue with this game. You'll go in, you'll do these missions, which are fun, they're brainless, you enjoy blowing shit up, but at a certain point, it feels like you're just kind of pacing yourself out to the next boss, which I kind of did in the Souls games too, so I don't really know what I'm getting at with this shit. Maybe I'm just massaging my own nipples here, but there was parts where I literally just put a podcast on and turned my fucking brain off so that I could grind some fucking money to go kill the next guy, only for the next boss to sometimes be a colossal letdown. I mean, I get it early on in a game when you're introducing me to the tanks and the helicopters, you're like, this is your boss, kill the tank, and you're like, alright, cool, well the next guy will be a cool mech, and then it's like, no, it's a helicopter, and you're like, fine, and then it's a fucking giant airplane that dropped. At least this giant airplane dropped mechs to fight you. I do have to appreciate that. It's just like, there's a certain point with these giant fucking planes, and there's a giant boat you fight, where you're just dumping endless ammo into them, and you don't really feel like you're accomplishing much. You're just kind of spamming around the map, trying not to get hit, and slowly hitting health. Now, the thing about the modern FromSoft games is you can learn the skill enough to where you get bigger chunks of health knocked off, and there's really not those opportunities here. I mean, yeah, you can charge up your railgun and sort of knock it out, but it's the same damage. You're always going to be doing the exact same thing, and there's really no getting the upper hand on your boss. It's just avoiding their tracking missiles long enough to survive to shoot them down, and that's how every single boss fight goes in this game, except for the mech ones, which the mech ones you actually have to use some fucking frontal lobe power to make yourself a tsunamic G of a fucking manhood. And even worse than the planes and the boat boss fights, there's even times where you're literally just fighting a fucking wall. Like, you're fighting a wall or a building, and it's like, that's not a boss fight, I'm just destroying a building. That's fucking stupid. It's terrible. And like I said, there are stuff that I absolutely love in this game. The whole over-the-top patriotic American thing I think is hilarious. I think it's fun. You don't see enough of this from Western developers, which is weird because we're in the West. We should have some games where we're like, fuck yeah, America, baby. Fucking America. And also when I'm fighting giant spider robots and giant mechs, dude, my nipples couldn't get harder. My nipples are so hard, they look like dildos attached to my chest. I'm so excited when I'm blowing up these giant robots. I am having so much fun with this shit, but I feel like there's just so much other shitty, and it might just be because this game is dated. I will give it a pass for being dated design, because a lot of games of this time period was like, blow up thing, blow up other thing, collect more thing, and it just feels very old-timey. But like, fighting a building, man, come on. Like, you finally get to the White House, back to the White House, after finally making this cross-country excursion. You're finally going back to where you started, and the end of, like, no, not the end of the game boss fight, but the boss fight when you're in front of the White House, this great spectacle of an area, which should have a super sick boss fight, is you tearing up the fucking armor on the White House, dude. Lame, fucking lame. I would love to see this game remade and like reimagined into something more epic, and keep the funny themes of over the top macho American fucking Randy Savage, like, oh, that's a good cup of coffee, yeah, fucking on the White House lawn, yeah. I want to see that, dude. But, and I do have to say, the end of the game, you do get a fight, your vice president, and those boss fights are super fun because you're thinking about what you're doing. He has your weapons that you have, and he can fuck you up just as hard as you can fuck him up. So you really have to think about what you're doing in a methodical type of manner. And you feel like when you accomplish that fight, you've actually accomplished something. And when he runs off to space, you're like, oh no, he's getting away. But you're the fucking president, baby. You're the fucking master-in-chief of justice and freedom. You're going to space too because you don't give no little fucks. No little fucks given today. I'm the president of the USA. And it's like cool. I mean, you go to space to fight him as a giant spider. Like, it's so cool. He looks way cooler than the first giant spider. It's not like it was just a reskin. This is like a whole ass boss fight. And as for last boss fights go, this is the first, like I said, with some of the mech fights, you feel like it's a Souls game again. Not like it's a Souls game, but you feel that FromSoft energy in the game. And this last spider boss fight, you actually have to keep your ass on your toes. You have to be fucking prepared. I had to go do some grinding before this and prepare myself. And it's something fun. And even the last phase is just shooting the missile off its back. It creates this cinematic aspect that I enjoyed. It was one of those Souls fights where the first phase is just fucking hell, and the second phase is kind of easy, and then you get to move on, and you feel so accomplished and so fucking manhood extending happy. I like that shit. I enjoyed this ending of this game. I would recommend this to almost everyone. I like the character of the president. I wish his voice acting was a little better, but I don't think, at the end of the day, I still think this is a 7 or 8 out of 10 game, just for the enjoyment I had in the little shit. Yes, there's a lot of repetition. Yes, there's a lot of bad voice acting. The game's fucking old, so I can't sit here and say, oh, well, new Souls games so much better. But yeah, of course, they learned from their time doing stuff like this, and then they evolved from it, and you can see it in this gameplay that there is the idea of something better to be made, and I can see the formula that would eventually become Demon's Souls in this in a weird way. Even though this game isn't great, I still see that identity, and that's something that's cool, and that's something that should be cherished. But that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. This was a weird one. I picked it up on sale for like $3, so keep an eye out for it. But thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I love you all.